So, hi Leopold.
Hello, 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 hello. Nice to see you again on Malachite. Feels good
Yeah,
to
good
be there. Feels good to be here.
good to see you and I love the outfit.
Thank you. Namaste. A thought to all my Congolese brothers and sisters struggling right now. Yes.
Yeah, and we how do I say it? And yeah, we do our best to send love and send healing and send peace. We have the power to do that, right?
Yes, I do believe
So,
so.
yeah. Welcome everyone who's watching. I'm Philippa. This is Leopold. We're both astrologers, both artists, both mixed race coming from many worlds. I'm in Nairobi. He's in Brussels. And we want to do a quick video talking about the new moon in Aquarius, 9 degrees of Aquarius. And then we have a question from somebody regarding their charts. We're going to look at that and we're going to move
Mhm.
at such a clip. We're going to be moving pretty quickly. So, Leopold, perhaps you can start by sharing your thoughts about the new moon.
I mean, this new moon is a beautiful new moon. Why? Because it's starting a brand new season, a whole cycle in many, many different ways. We are starting, of course, this new cycle in Aquarius. For the ones who are following, there is this insert of Pluto in Aquarius that is changing all the different energies in the zodiac. It's a very big move from Pluto that will last for 20 years. I mean, 19 now, and it's important to see that this new moon here is really absorbing that energy, that Aquarian energy here. And of course, we invite you to place intentions for this new cycle and see how the changes here are going to be very important for you in terms of delivering yourself something, like liberating yourself from something and realizing that it's a change. The big word here, it will be change, and it feels good. At the same time, we have the nodes who are changing as well and moving from North Pisces and South Virgo. So before it was in Aries and Libra. So it's very important to realize that a lot of cycles here are changing, and the change here will be very palpable. I think for me, it's gonna be a lot of mental change also because we are in air signs and we see that people start to realize what is going on. And I couldn't be more happier to realize how people are fed up with what is going on, with all the secrecy, with all the powers, with all the politics, with all the mismanagement of this planet, and you feel and you will see much more of that energy of liberation, of being fed up, etc., etc. So for me, it's really a part of the Promethean myth. If you know a bit of the Greek myths, we the people are receiving the power to change. We're receiving the fire, or as Plato would say, we are moving out of the cave. We are stopping to believing in the shadows in the cave. So it's a very important new moon according to me, and as many great astrologers are underlining, it's also the first time that the sun, the fire, is actually meeting Pluto in Aquarius since the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, which is 1790, which is an era of revolution in great power countries like France, America, etc., etc. So realizing that we are back in something that will feel a little bit like these great historical revolutions in terms of lifestyle, politics, in terms of personal experience, community experience. So yeah, place your intentions and realize how you want to position yourself in all these movements, very important movements.
Fantastic, great. And just to remind, as I'm sure many of you know who are watching, is Aquarius also has to do with people, our social groups, our social values, but also about creating equality. It's also about being avant-garde, seeing further than what we really see, in order to push our society forward. Aquarius, is very much before its time, also has to do with technology, as well as not travel, but Uranus is often Uranus, who rules Aquarius, one of the rulers, is also connected to airports, and I think it's also connected to mind travel, like when
And electricity as well. Electricity
electricity, exactly. When
is a big
Uranus
one.
was discovered, that's when electricity was discovered. So it has to also do with the sudden insights, and fast movement. Movement, I think that you would say, goes beyond the material. And
Totally.
so I guess also what I'm gathering and reiterating is the sun is there. It has to do with our id, our ego. The sun is there, and it's been conjuncted by Pluto. Pluto creates transformation, regeneration, but also brings things to the surface. So brings things in ourselves that we haven't known about ourselves. Also more of a desire for freedom, but also a revelation of secrets, because it's Pluto. Mercury Pluto also has to do with the combination, because Mercury is also in Pluto now. No, sorry, Mercury is also conjunct Pluto. It's also about truth, secrets coming to light, communication coming to light, but also our thoughts, being aware of what are our thoughts and how can our thoughts align with the higher vibration of where we want to go. But it also creates huge transformation in terms of how we communicate, how we move in the world, how we're interacting with our brothers and sisters, and also realizing that it's us, me, but us and the people, us and our fellow brothers and sisters. And of course, it's not just about the house where you have Aquarius and where these planets are falling, but also because it's an early Aquarius, it also affects the early Scorpios, early Taurans, early Leos, and of course, the Libras and the Geminis have a bit of an easier ride. And I think also what's interesting is, you touched on that, is that there's a trine to Jupiter. It's like the moon is going into a trine with Jupiter. I think it's 11 degrees retro in Gemini. So it's also really about communication, new forms of communication, new forms of social media, new ways we're interacting with the world. And I think what I find really interesting about what you were saying is that Pluto is in Aquarius, so it's about power and the people, power trying to overcome the people, but in the end, it's the people realizing that they actually have power when they band together. So it's also about us realizing that even if things are happening that feel uncomfortable in regard to people who are in power, we have to trust this process and trust the process of us coming together, trusting our vision of what a better world could be. Right. And of course, we have Venus conjunct Neptune, I believe, in Pisces. So we're also having this assistance of Pisces healing, Pisces spiritual connection, this collective consciousness, the ability that we have to spirit our higher selves to be, and the cosmos to be able to create some healing. But also what I wanted to add before I hear what you have to say is just to remind everyone, because actually it's the beginning of the Chinese New Year, the fire snake, I believe. And but with a new moon, the chart of a new moon, when a new moon is when the sun and the moon are together at the exact degrees, exact minute, and the new moon begins a new month. So when you look at the chart of the new moon, it will tell you what will happen in the coming month. Okay. You can also look at the movement, the way in which the planets are moving, to also understand a few more details. But when we talk about the new moon, it's about setting the intentions now for the month, but also realizing the energy of what this coming month will be, which will be probably very busy, right? Because we got the Aquarius, we got the Jupiter. The Jupiter also enlarges, augments. It's in
It's
Gemini.
moving direct. It's moving direct in the beginning of the month, the 4th, I believe, the 4th of February.
Exactly.
So it's soon, very soon.
Communications are going to pick up,
It's
also
gonna blow
probably
up. Yes,
blow
sir.
up, as well as also things that are not true, because Gemini rules communication, but Gemini also is not so good at the details or like embellishes things sometimes, wants to be the trickster, right?
And
Mercury rules it.
Jupiter will exaggerate everything also.
Exaggerate. So it's also very important, especially with these Aquarius, because it's practically a stellium that we have in Aquarius. It's really important that you ground into yourself, because Aquarius is, it has to do not, it doesn't really have to do with you. It's about the electricity around you. And Aquarius is connected to Taurus, to Scorpio, and to Leo. And I would really encourage people to get into, because they're in the kind of partnership together, get into your body, ground your body. I feel my hands, I feel my legs, I'm breathing, I'm belly breathing, I'm connecting to my body, my roots are in the ground, and really coming closer to the matter, you know, your material form, and coming closer to your spirituality to be able to ground you so that you're not in this because
This your hurricane, it's a hurricane of air and water, and it's gonna come strong. It's gonna come very strong. And I believe that also there is an opening through that Pluto shaking up the fixed cross. I think that for the ones who are studying esotericism, I think there's an opening here on that fixed cross where all the mutables, all the people that are on the mutables in terms of consciousness, here I'm talking about, are invited to jump on the fixed cross, to move on, to elevate, and to get wiser. I think there's a great a window opening here with Pluto arriving in Aquarius. Of course, it's introducing the Aquarian age. Are we in it yet? I don't know. It's another discussion, but I believe it's an invitation, at least an open window to enter an elevating consciousness, you know, and you have the choice always. You can stay there, stay down, whatever, you know, in a simpler reality. There is no judgment here. And you can also elevate, see the beauty, see what you can bring, what value, what light you can bring in this sometimes despair we can see in this world.
and I also want to add that I believe we're going into a square with Chiron and Mars. Yeah, because I think Mars is going to retrograde back. Sorry, Chiron and Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a story here about the Cancer aspects to you and the Aries aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, what I want, how I identify myself,
Yeah.
what I want to do, and the Cancer, which is much slower, much more sensitive, connected to the emotions, the family, the past. And so there may be a Aries Cancer, as much as they're squaring each other and they want to find a solution, it doesn't feel so great because it's in the Aries is Chiron in Aries, which already has the wound, and the Mars glyph with the arrow is like, so it's not bad. I think it's great because the Mars retrograde is a great workshop for all of us to be able to go over these elements about our masculine elements, our feminine elements, everything in between, everything to do with our own feeling of lack of assertion or overexertion. But in a way, it may be a bit sticky where there's some issues where, on a personal level, where one feels some sort of, I would say, aggression. But I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of these things, a lot of these aspects indeed. For me, Mars is in a very tricky position, being in Cancer and at the same time being retrograde. I mean, this is an energy, this is one of the worst planets to be retrograde. Why? Because Mars is all about going.
Mm-hmm.
So her essence, his essence, I should say, is all about going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to be retrograde, it's really the worst. It's much worse than Mercury because Mercury is mutable, you know. But for Mars, it's really hard. It's really hard. So it's an energy that you need to channel in some kind of a wisdom, in some kind of a vision, in some kind of a expression of what you feel, and don't leave it there lingering in deep inside of you, you know. And of course, it's annoyed because Chiron is in his house. So Mars can see Chiron in his house, and he's like, yo, this is my house. What are you doing in my house? You know, move that wound away. I'm a fighter. I don't need no wound. So you can see the soldier being hit and being annoyed by it because he has a war to do, and at the same time he's retrograde, and at the same time he's carrying a wound. So that's why also in the world, I reckon we see a lot of mishits, a lot of mismatch, a lot of bad decision being taken, a lot of leaders. I won't say any names, but a lot of leaders doing things that they believe is the right thing to do, and they will realize sooner than later that it wasn't probably good decisions because we are in that tricky timing here. So it's very I think this new moon is really a meditation. Look, my masters always say to me, it's a meditation. You know, look at your zodiac, look at this new moon, realize the aspects and meditate on it, you know. It's food for thoughts.
And also, I mean, why I love astrology is that you become aware of the dynamics within yourself and you become aware of the dynamics that are coming up, right? So everything that comes up, you welcome it. You say, thanks. I'd done a few modules on this, but who knew I had to just do more work, right? So when but what like Leopold has talked about is, and it's interesting with, there was a coaching client I was talking to last week, and this was something similar, is like, when you want to assert yourself, when you want to go forward and you feel like, man, I don't know, in life, I can never get to go forward, or I'm trying to do something, or sometimes I act too fast or too slow, or whatever it is, and blah, 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 blah. Keep asking yourself, but why? Why do you need to assert yourself? Oh, because, and you have to be truthful. Sometimes it's like, yeah, because I need people to know that, nobody can mess with me. I'm the man. Like, I don't like it when people do things like this and that to me, or blah, 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 blah. But then, and keep asking yourself, what's so bad about that? Or why do you need to prove yourself? Or just know that you can also, you need to affirm yourself and know that you are okay, and it doesn't really matter what the outside world feels and thinks. Of course it does, but we have to be like, okay, what's coming up? And also to realize that during this time, like you said, it's not exactly the time to take action. Not saying it's not the time to take action, but also to intuitively, Mars in Cancer, when you're trying to go one way and you get stuck, you maybe say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to chill out. But the Mars, the Aries wants to be like, no, I need to do this. I need to achieve this. I need to overcome this goal, right? But it's like, okay, I know, because I have that kind of energy as well. And it's like, I'm even talking to myself, and it's like, no, actually, maybe I just need to be in my flow. Maybe I
Hmm.
have to also trust the timing, that maybe now is not the time to do it. Or just because I'm looking at, you're looking at your life and thinking, why can't I move forward, or vice versa, realizing that this is great for all of it to come out. And everything sometimes gets accentuated, especially with this energy, and to realize that, okay, I need to not just trust what I'm seeing in the material world. My power is not just determined by my actions or my success, or even if I'm getting blocks, blah, 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 blah. So I
Yes.
want to see if you have anything else to add to that, and then we're going to move ahead to the question from our Instagram follower.
No, thank you. I won't add anything. I hope that it's pretty clear in how people can position themselves at this beautiful energy of the new moon, the first new moon of the year. And yeah, let's move on maybe to the question of that follower that was asking something about the second and the eighth house, you were saying?
Yeah. So okay. So it's interesting. So basically, the follower has a north node in Scorpio, so their south node is in Taurus. Okay. And they were asking, what is it? I think the question was something like, what does it mean for my life, or what is my purpose if my north node in Scorpio is in my second house? Now, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Why I find this to be a very, very interesting question. Okay, personally, I'm born on the Taurus Scorpio nodes. Okay, my North Node is in Taurus, and it's a very interesting nodal axis to be born on. Okay, so my North Node is in Scorpio, Now, as many of the viewers may or may not know, is the second and the eighth house are connected to Taurus and Scorpio. The second house is the, like they say, the traditional ruler. Taurus is the traditional ruler of the second house, and the eighth house is traditionally ruled by Scorpio. So second house, if you have any planets there, has Tauran vibes. Eighth house, if you have any planets there, has, let's say, Scorpio vibes. Okay, not exactly, but yes. So and Taurus is very much about what we have, what we can touch. I see and then I know it. Practical, money, values, body. Also sex for the purpose of its enjoyment, food, luxury, very physical. The earth. Scorpio is the couple, the complementary sign, and Scorpio has very similar themes to do with it, has to do with sex, but very much about the interchange, but also a kind of spiritual interchange, the way you engage with another, with your values, with your money, with your body, with all sorts of things, but in a way that you can't really say, this is mine, this is yours. Everything gets blended. When Scorpios have sex, they want to forget who they are and blend with the other. Scorpio is also about release, regeneration, loss. Okay, so why I bring up these themes, because for the people who are watching, is because when you have a South Node in Taurus, it's very much about, you know, the physical form, for lack of a better word, and the North Node in Scorpio is very much about release, letting go, and all of these many other things that I've talked about, regeneration, but also spiritual power, let's say. Now, the fact that it's in the second house, which is Tauran, so how do you reconcile it? Because the Scorpio part is like, I want to blend, I'm connecting to my spiritual energy, I'm psychic, all of these many things, but it's in the second house, which is like, the second house impacts that North Node, saying, no, but you have to, if you see it, to believe it. This is mine, that's yours. We're going to have sex, but after it, I'm not connecting to you. It's just the physical bodies or whatever. That's
Yeah.
my interpretation.
Hmm.
So, so I'm curious, because in a way it puts a conundrum, because the South Node is what you need to lean on, but not lean on completely. You need to lean on it to go into your North Node. But it's like, on one hand, he or she is being told, or they is being told to let go of this, but then it's hyper accentuated. So
Yeah.
I hope I've explained myself well. If I've missed anything out, I hope you can fill in the blanks. And I really want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, and they often say if you have the axle that is upside down in terms of signs or houses, that obviously there's some links, some karmic links with the fact that you've misused them in the past, in past lives, if you ever believe in past life and reincarnation. So it's very interesting to see also that here, like you were saying, there's some kind of conundrum here because 2-8 can be 8-2, so it depends obviously on how you see it, but you have to understand also that the North Node will be very important, and here for the person it's going to be a Scorpio energy, yeah, but that means for me also that in terms of polarities, Scorpio will bring the flavor of the node, which means that the node will have the tendency of being very, very complicated, because that's a very obvious color of Scorpio. Complicated. So it goes down into the profound. It wants to understand. It complicates to understand, of course, but it still complicates a lot. It's in the feelings, it's watery, it's as in the second house, you enter a house of simplicity. This is a house where things are simple. You have this and you don't have that. You like this food or you don't like it. It's very simple. You like this sex or you don't like this sex. You find this beautiful or you don't find it beautiful. Not, oh, I find it's beautiful, but it's so tearing me apart. Oh, this and that. Scorpio, Scorpio, darling, Scorpio, Scorpio. So it's for me, it's interesting because the nodes are inviting you to actually channel that energy, and maybe if you look forward into that zodiac, you will realize that maybe in past lives, this axle maybe was intercepted, or there was some kind of issues, or maybe past lives can explain the misuse of that to eight, that eight to that Taurian energy, that Scorpio energy, So for me, for the only information I have here, which is very few, I can only say that it inspires me an invitation to channel your complicated energy into simplifying and putting it down as it can function better, you know? And at the same time, let go a little bit of that complexity because life can be also a little bit more simple. Although you carry that flavor, that Scorpio flavor, you carry that wisdom, you carry that knowledge, that interest into the other, into the profound, into the occult, into sexology, whatever. Still try to bring something simpler to make it functional. That's what inspires me.
What I find, thank you. I love that. I love that. That was a really great Scorpio description.
I have so much Scorpio in my chart also,
Really?
you'll be
Oh,
surprised. You'll be
didn't
surprised.
realize. Didn't realize.
I
That's why you
have
have all those umbrellas, huh?
I have Uranus in Scorpio, the
Okay.
exaltation. So, yeah.
So yeah, what is interesting is it's funny because when you were talking, I was also thinking about eighth house dynamics, Scorpio dynamics, and it's all about like yeah, combined energy. But I was wondering who is the one who's sharing? Does the Scorpio share first, or does it want the energy from outside to share with it? Is it like the Scorpio, like, I've got this food I want to share with you, or you've got that great food, I want to have it? And my feeling, just talk,
Mm,
is Scorpio actually wants the food of the other person. That's my feeling, okay? But I'm just
mm-hmm,
for the sake of the discussion. And so, but not exactly, because eighth house is still like, I have these resources, like in marriage, I have this stuff, you have this stuff. If we get married, maybe some marriages we put it together, okay? But I do feel Scorpio in a way does want the energy of the other person, first and foremost, to come alive in some way. So I guess that's one thing, but I want to hear what you have to say. But before we get there, it's interesting because with the Taurus South Node also is about not hoarding, not holding on to money in order to feel safe, holding on to things in order to feel safe. And a Scorpio North Node is also about like sometimes even creating drama, being like, actually, you know what, I'm a bit pissed, or I'm just gonna let this go. Like I'm just gonna, how do I say
mm-hmm,
it? Be more like not messy, but for lack of a better word, but maybe you'll correct me. But the Taurus South Node is also like, this is mine, that's yours. If you put it in the eighth house, in a way, maybe that Taurus is not really good at sharing because it has to share in the eighth house, right? And I have a lot of eighth house planets. Not easy, not wouldn't wish it on anyone because it's not just
yeah,
about your things, it's about your psychic energy, it's about a lot of things, right? So, but you got the South Node there, and it's supposed to share to some extent. And actually, maybe it even has better boundaries. Maybe the boundaries that this person has with the South Node and Taurus in the eighth are some of the boundaries that I need, right? Because Taurus is like, this is mine, and actually, I don't want to share with you. Or what am I going to get out of it? But I'm not
yeah,
here to really blend. I'm
yeah,
just talking.
mm-hmm,
So, and maybe with the North Node in Scorpio in the second, I agree with everything that you said, but also this idea of maybe also sharing a bit more of your resources. Not saying like you're blending completely, but also being like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but that's what I'm also wondering, especially when you're talking about past lives.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm also curious to hear from the person what it feels like in regard to possessions, boundaries, things, whether it feels easier to share, whether they find it harder, whether people have taken a lot of their resources, all these many things. I'm curious about that. So anyway, I'd like to hear your last thoughts before we finish up.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting conversation, and again, it would be nice to have more information about the person to see where we can go with this. But for me, you have to remember also that the nodes are invitations. They are usually in mundane astrology, we are adopting them as if we could express them and as if we had a hands on them. If you if you dive into the Indian beliefs of the nodes, you will realize that it's way messier and it's way much more difficult to grasp their energy. And in that sense, I believe that it's more an invitation to maybe, like you were saying very accurately, that maybe she should share more or she should be more aware of her powers in terms of because the second house is what you have. And what you have is not only material, it's also the capacity of being what you have in terms of powers, in terms of talents, in terms of showing what you have in your pockets. Not only the material, but also in terms of character, in terms of showing off, you know. And again, you see that energy can be even towards the sexual energy to be emancipated, you know. So there's some of these traits that are very interesting.
And also this idea of how can I share what I have, but it's not taken away from me? How can I,
Hmm.
but I'm
Also,
still
yes.
completely intact, right? Share with a, with an openness, but I'm still intact. Not that I'm being selfish, but
Hmm.
nothing is taken from me and still be in my power. Okay, so
Oh well.
we're gonna wrap this up. Everyone, thank
Yeah.
you for watching. Give us your
Thank you
comments,
so
your
much.
questions, and
Yes,
share, like, follow, all these many things.
please.
Sending love to you all and happy new moon. Lots of blessings to you. Hasta la vista. Till the next time.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.